Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Starladder Season 10. We're here with Day 11 of the European Division. We've got 5 games coming up today, and we'll get things started with Team Secret. They'll be squaring off against Team Hellraisers, a.k.a. whatever they were called in the last season. I'm Zyori, joined by Blaze once again. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Obviously, we have a great match on our hands to start, but we also have some nice ones ahead. And I've obviously been doing quite a bit of casting very recently, so I'm pumped for even more Dota. Just got to keep riding that momentum through all the regions here, go around the world, I suppose. But yeah, Team Secret versus Hellraiser is already getting to a bit of an interesting draft with this early Naga pickup. Jakiro is a little bit more common, but maybe not in the first phase. So our style showing some unique drafting prowess up against Puppy, his former teammate, and should be a nice way to start off the day.
Yeah, certainly right. And against Team Secret, you got to do things a little bit differently. They'll start off the bands with the Wisp. Of course, anytime there's a big daddy on the team, you want to think twice about letting that old Wisp get his way through. Let's go ahead and take a gander here at the grid and see what we're working with Starladder EU. Team Secret have played only 3 games. I feel like they've played a lot more than that, but I guess they have used both their wild cards already. So they're sitting only 2-1, and the grind begins for Team Secret. HR, they are sitting 2-2 right now, actually right below Team Secret, so still a lot of games to be played in this European group stage here. And, well, anyone's for the taking, I guess, is where we're still at in this current stage. So, all right, now that we've established that, Team Secret, they'll go with the Watermelon. Second pick, Tidehunter.
Yeah, a lot of potential there, of course, for getting a little bit of counter push, and he just has a great timing as a hero. If he goes for Mech or Blink, in either case, he's going to be able to contribute to the team fight very early on, and it's something that we could be seeing maybe Fly picking up. Simba's been running the offlane most recently, but yeah, they're still kind of working out their roles, figuring out exactly where they can settle, because obviously they can't come from different backgrounds as far as different teams, different roles, and they can't all play support. So we'll see. Most likely, Karaki rocking the carry, and then Simba will take up that off lane with S4 going to his former solo mid position. But that still remains to be seen whether that means the Razor is going to be mid or in the safe lane. If you're running like Razor versus Naga mid, you're feeling pretty favorable about that. But I think that Hellraisers might be looking into the supportive Naga rather than the farming one.
Yeah, I want to agree with you. I feel like the last few times we've seen Naga, it's been in that support role, at least except outside of SEA. We've seen a few Miracle Nagas here and there and that kind of stuff, but in the West, she's been pretty much all about the support, and I think she's been paired pretty heavily with the Mirana as potential for a tri-lane. So maybe Hellraisers are going to be looking for a Mirana with their 3rd or 4th pick. They will grab Disruptor, which means it's either a core Jakiro or a core Naga Siren. And it's pretty damn hard to tell.
Yeah, whatever they're going to be able to bring out, it's going to be really powerful in team fights. Because when you have the Songless Siren to followed up by Kinetic Static, you have an extended period of time where they just can't do anything as far as spellcast. Kraken Shell won't save you from the continuous silence of the Static Storm. And they can also drop the Macro Pyre on it. So it's already a 3-man Wombo combo that they don't even have to be really dependent on in order to win the fights. It's certainly going to give them a huge edge, but that doesn't have to be there in every single engagement just to pull forward, because these heroes are just naturally strong. I mean, Jakiro's naturally a tanky intelligence hero. He's going to be able to probably farm up effectively if he is a #1, and no matter the case, they're going to be able to fight with shorter cooldowns than that of the Ravage.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw that yesterday. The team cooldown versus team non-cooldown, and it's not always a make it or break it. Once Tide gets enough farm to get that refresher, even though he is still cooldown reliant, you can do a lot of work with those big wombos before you go down. Shadow Shaman, 3rd choice for Team Secret. No big surprise there. They're pretty much in line with the meta right now. All heroes we're pretty comfortable with. This 4th pick for Hellraisers, I think, should bring their draft into focus a little bit with, well, exactly what they want to do. I reckon they'll need to grab an offlaner here. Regardless, they have potential for a mid to support and a position 1 across these 3 heroes, but offlane is that one thing they are completely lacking.
Yeah, they go back for the Lycan ban just to make sure that's not going to be an issue. Dire Lycan's always difficult to go up against, and with that not being picked up in phase 1 by the Hellraisers, then prioritizing the Jakiro the Naga, they're just going to go back and take that one out. But it's still going to be a push-oriented core hero. It's going to be the Pugna. And yeah, I think honestly the Jakiro and Pugna might take farm precedence here.
So support Naga, tri-lane with the Pugna, and then just an off-laner with the final choice. I could see that. That's pretty scary push. It's pretty good.
So, I mean, that'll allow them to take a lot of towers. Obviously, they'd be weaker late game than if they had the Naga that was farming up a Radiance. But I don't know if you really want to go a Radiance route this game. You're going to be under a lot of pressure to Razor Tide, Shadow, Shaman. They like to be very active very early. And Team is Secret in general like to really dominate the map with their early usage of skills. I mean, we haven't seen very many games where the blood has not been spilled by 5 minutes time when it comes down to Team Secret. Sometimes on their behalf when they get a little overzealous, but for the most part, they're really been improving on their coordination, their execution of early skirmishes, and I definitely think there's a lot of potential if they pick up another active support.
Yes, I think so as well. They will burn through most of their bonus time here as they think about it. Hellraisers were actually docked a good chunk of their bonus time. I think they started with 40 as they did show up a little bit late to the match today. After a little debacle yesterday, admins are on point with making sure teams are appropriately docked when they're not here on time. Also worth mentioning here as well, Art Style is doing the drafting for HR today, and of course it is Puppy drafting over for Team Secret, no surprise there. And they will settle on the Nature's Prophets, so could this be another solo mid Nature's Prophet coming out here, Blaze?
I mean, technically it's possible, but I don't really think that that's going to do that much for them. If they go for the Furion earlier, then maybe he can actually use his trance to pull the creep wave away more frequently and make it difficult for them to actually execute a full push, and they could come out. But that would obviously leave the Tide Hunter without a great place to farm. So solo mid seems possible, solo safe seems possible. It really depends on where they want to put the Razor. Furion can fit into almost any lane. He's very flexible as far as what he expects to accomplish. Sometimes it's very little GPM and recover with a Midas. Sometimes it's very active, use your micro, and just really bring the pain. But in this case here, yeah, it's quite ambiguous. Tide should go on the off lane, but even that's not slated.
Yeah. Blaze, you may want to double check that your in-game mic is turned on. If it is, you might just want to give it the old mute, unmute toggle, and a few people saying that they can't hear you, so may wanna tend to that, good buddy, if you can.
Okay, just double checking. Hopefully it fixes it, but was on previously. We'll see Hellraisers with their last pickup here in just 13 or so seconds. So they have to decide how they're going to deal with this. So obviously the Glimpse is already good against the Nature's Prophet, but they need something a little bit hard-hitting on the front line. I think this constitutes an aggro try. I think they might go like safe lane Pugna or safe lane Jakiro, and they could go like Wraith King Disruptor Naga.
Okay, yeah, I think they have to. They don't really have a natural offlaner. A lot of flexibility for the Hellraisers. They could do a Disruptor Pugna Wraith King. I think that's a pretty scary tri-lane. Decent setup with the Disruptor, some damage output there,
okay.
And setup with Mr. Wraith King, so okay, I can see it. They have an odd amount of pushing power, though. They have a pretty squishy lineup, all things considered. Except, I mean, it'll be a farming Pugna, so even though Wraith King does have that second life, he's not going to be particularly tanky. So it'll be interesting from Hellraisers. Team Secret settle on Clinks with their final pick.
I'm wondering if this is going to be a Furion jungle start or a supportive Tide Hunter. There doesn't seem to be many alternatives there. They only have Shadow Shaman as the hard support hero. So one way or another, we might see just Puppy take his signature role of the jungle a little bit seriously, as he could pick up the Furion here if that suits his intentions. It is going to be Artsa on the Wraith King, and most recently he was playing a supportive hero. So yeah, it could be here Disruptor Wraith King supporting, Yoku getting a solo lane, and Aloha Dance going for that aggro try, as you were kind of talking about. I think that can be effective in its own right, but if Team Secret are just getting more farm across the map because their Tide Hunter's freed up on the top lane and because the Furion can actually tap into the jungle, then yeah, I still think that Team Secret, if they can just hold the line and keep a tower alive for a good 8 to 10 minutes, then they'll be pretty confident of going into the mid game.
Yeah, maybe this is one of these lineups coming out of Secret that is basically just a single support. Puppy will take the Nature's Prophet, which means... Wait, is he on the Nature's Prophet? I can't tell. He's right next to Big Daddy. Okay, yeah, Big Daddy's on the Shadow Shaman, and Puppy on the Nature's Prophet. So maybe he will just start off in the jungle and go farm, and they'll be as greedy as they can. It looks like Fly will take the Tide Hunter towards the off lane, as 4 will take Razor towards the mid, and of course that does leave Kuroki to go in the position 1 on the safe lane with the Clinks. Then he'll be supported by Mr. Big Daddy there on the Shadow Shaman. So slightly greedier from Team Secret, but if HR don't punish it, if they don't invade the jungle and just give Puppey free reign of that Radiant side, then, well, that greed very well may pay off.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, if he is in too much trouble on the bottom lane, then he can always just go for a quick teleport up to the top. So I don't necessarily think that just warding out the jungle is going to deter Puppey too much. It might reduce his impact on the lower lane, but again, global presence, he's still going to be able to do some cool stuff. And even has this cool cosmetic staff I have not yet seen.
On the Furion?
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. What do we got? The genuine staff of the Lunar Tree. Whoa, I don't think I've ever seen that thing either. That is badass. Look at this thing. I don't know what it's supposed to be doing, but that is pretty darn cool in this Ashen Vale Azeroth-like environment. Fits the environment to a T, I suppose. Wow. Well, Mr. Puppey, I wonder what that thing's worth. It's got to be rare.
Yeah, once it's been held by Puppey, you know it's going to be big. But.
Yeah, that'll up the value a little bit. On the Dire side, of course, we've got the Hellraisers, and they will do the aggro try. Dread will be supporting on the Jakiro here. They'll have art style on the Wraith King, and he's going to be the one farming here as Dubas is on the Disruptor, supporting away as well. Yoki mid on the Naga Siren, and that puts Aloha Dance solo safe lane on the Pugna. And he'll be up against the Pirate Tidehunter here. He's got his Pirate Flag. He's got his Pirate Hat, his Pirate Slayer's Cutlass. He is tricked out, and he's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, just going for a little bit of... What's the word? I don't know.
Swashbuckler?
Yeah, I guess so. He's just making sure that everything matches. He's got the whole
gonna swab the poop deck.
And I guess we'll see how he fares up against the Pugna. Up top, it's going to be a 1v1 between him, unless Puppey lends his hand a little bit here and there. Puppey going to go for the early null talisman, and that's going to make it so he can just right-click the neutrals down that much more rapidly. So, yeah, up against the Pugna, I think the Pugna will still win out in farm, but the Tide's not going to be shut down by any means. It could still be very active in this position. Interesting that he went for the Stout Shield, though. You don't often see that on the Tidehunter because once you get 2 points in Kraken Shell, it's literally useless. So just going to be kind of delaying points in that. Maybe go a little bit of a Gush. Yeah, level 1 Gush is actually going to go out for Simba.
Wow, this is a completely different take on the Tidehunter from what we're used to seeing, but they will go right in on Aloha Dance, that early point in Gush, proving effective here.
Micro.
Puppey path blocking pretty effectively with the Treants, but just not quite enough to secure that first blood. So a lot of damage out on Pugna to get things started. And at the very least, Simba will have a lot of room to farm.
Pugna's got 320 base MS. Very hard to keep that up for even as long as he did. So nice movement there. And is this like an aggro duel where Puppey chooses not to farm in order to just zone hard? I mean,
it looks
I don't see why not.
Down bottom, though, there will be a dive. They'll go in onto Kuroki. They pop a dust to make sure he can't skeleton walk away. There's your first blood. Art Style will draw it on that position 1 Wraith King, and now they'll press forward onto the Big Daddy. No Ice Path on Shakiro, but does connect with a dual breath. Nice slow there as Art Style gets in position. For the stun, he does have enough mana now as that clarity ticks up. Big Daddy just trying to buy as much time as possible, but it will be in vain, and it'll be a 2-for-0 exchange to get things started. Kuroki with the skeleton walk online. Well, he won't be able to find a return kill. Maybe onto Dread if he starts taking tower shots here, but he won't pull aggro, and Kuroki will do what little damage he can just to push back the twin-headed dragon.
Yeah, so this is the weakness of not really committing 2 supports to their bottom lane. It's a 3 versus 2. They're willing to tower dive, absolutely, and with 1 pickup of the early dust, they're able to really make Klinks' life difficult. He'll still kind of just hold back here and wait, bide his time. A courier snipe coming in mid lane. This should be very difficult for Yoku to go up against, but maybe he saw the particle effects of the teleport come through, and yeah, it looks like Puppey's not going to make a go for it.
Yep, S4 will grab the 2-minute rune here. It is a haste as he moves back towards the mid, and Naga doing pretty well against the Razor. Pardon?
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I think, never mind. Going crazy here. Heard an in-game sound, and I thought it was you trying to interrupt me. But Naga doing pretty well in the mid lane. S4 has a lot of denies, but Naga has pretty solid raw CS. I'm still very curious about this Nature's Prophet up in the top lane. Puppey's just not getting a hell of a lot done. I mean, he is 4-2. He is securing farm for the Tide, and I guess the most effective portion of his presence here is zoning out the Pugna, who is only 3-0 in last hits. But Puppey's really just, he's going to be under-farmed. Even if he wants to grab a Recovery Midas, it'll be a long time before he picks that up.
Yeah, I just don't see why you would go for this particular hero over alternatives for supports, even if you do want to go for an aggro duel. I mean, we see the Lich sometimes come into play with this, where you can combo the Ravage with the Chain Frost, so you can always pull back the lane to deny the Pugna that way. But in this case, not only are they detracting from the bottom lane, not having somebody here, but they're really not putting that much of a grip on the Pugna. 4 and 0 is very limited for CS, but yeah, your micro has to be like 100% perfect to actually like justify this in the early game at least.
Yeah, and down bottom, the tower push is pretty darn
The
quick.
TPs.
Yep, Dread will put those points in Liquid Fire. They get the tower kill, and they'll come up top to make a defense, and they'll go right onto Kuroki. They had a dust last time, and it looks like they won't have one here. Aloha Dance in some trouble in the trees as this team will focus on Kuroki off to the side. That will make it a 1-for-1. Pugna for Clinks, but now Simba and Puppey in pretty deep. They'll go right onto Fly. There's the glimpse back right into tower range. Not enough mana for a Hellfire Blast, but it really doesn't matter. There's nowhere for the Tide to go. Pops a salve, it gets knocked off. No TP scroll on him. And he will fall. Pugna finds a little bit of vengeance there as the Nether Blast will bring down the Watermelon. Puppey survives as he TPs out, but the Hellraisers off to a hell of a start here.
Absolutely, and some may argue that, like, okay, they had to commit a lot of TP scrolls to get to the top lane, but they were heading there anyways. They want these tier 1 towers, and if the Jakira's not involved, then the Pugna certainly will be. They can go in here. Arcane Boot's actually up on the Wraith King, and they can put a large amount of damage into this tier 1 very quickly, but still going to be contested heavily by both Puppey as well as Fly. And we kind of turn our attention there to the mid lane, which has been the quietest of the bunch. S4 seems to be doing fine on rune control, bottling up that double damage for himself. But as far as CS, it's actually not as advantageous as you would expect for a Razor versus Naga matchup. He's still got a large amount of denies, 21 and 11 now, but Naga still has been able to manage 18 and 1.
Yeah, now the push will commence up top. Jakiro is in the position 1 here. It's a support art style with a farming Dread. And that's 22 CS on Jakiro, just about tied with the Razor for the top. And Liquid Fire, once again, with the Nether Blast, will make for an easy tower kill. There's going to be no contest coming out of, or contestment rather, from Team Secret here. So it will be a quick 2-for-0 tower exchange. Puppey in the dire jungle will kind of go blow for blow with Yoki, and does push him back a little bit, but still Naga doing all right and finding a baseline to farm. All of these early towers are really helping to accelerate her early farm as she starts to pull up presumably towards a Radiance. Now in the top lane, Hellraisers will continue to press forward, and this is where things get a little more risky. S4 coming around the backside, double damage rune online, and Simba taking a lot of damage to start things off. S4 does get glimpsed back. Dubash will fall, and now Puppey pressing forward, connects onto a Sprout with Dread. Tree will get cut through, and now they're all on the run. Aloha Dance just not fast enough. Razor can chase him down here. Slight movement speed advantage. There's your Plasma Field to bring him down.
Nice Sprout.
It'll be a 2-for-0 exchange, and the Sprout will lock Dread in place. He'll stand his ground, recognizing there's nowhere to go. And they will get punished for that overcommitment as Secret level it out for a piece.
Yeah, that's a really important turnaround timing, because if the game kept on going like the way it was, over the next few minutes, they would just be choked out very quickly, losing towers left and right. The Clinks can't really bounce back and flash around that quickly, so he wouldn't have been much of a contributor to this game, and it just would have been pretty ugly. But getting the rebound kills there is going to enable them to just really fight it out a little bit better. We have the Ravage coming out for Tide now, so obviously they have the team fight to back it up. They just have to be in the right place in the right time, and I guess that's what this lineup is a lot about. I mean, you have the global mobility because of the Nature's Prophets teleport, but you also have the movement speed increase of the passive and in Skeleton Walk for Razor and Clinks respectively. So they're going to be very mobile across the map, just trying to pin down targets and maybe lock them down with those Sprouts if there are too few Tangos on the board.
Yeah, Puppey has now completed his power treads, and it looks like he'll grabbing at least one more null tally, if not a second. Yesterday we did see a triple null tally Nature's Prophet, so I wouldn't write it off in the realm of possibilities here. Jakiro doesn't seem to be rushing a fast mech. What for Tranquil Boots, Magic Wand, and now a Bracer with all of that early farm. Usually you'll see Jakiros going for either a mech or a pipe pretty much ASAP when they're the farm priority here, but Dread doing it a little differently. We'll see what he transitions into, if it's just a casual Bracer or if he ends up picking up something like a drum. Who knows? The sky's the limit for a Jakiro such as Dread, and he will be holding steady with this dual breath Liquid Fire build. Will also be interesting to see if he skills up that Macro Pyre when he dings 6.
Yeah, it's a interesting decision between the the various options. They don't have that many ways to interrupt teleports right now. They have, obviously, they don't want to use the song. They don't have ensnare skilled. So it really comes down to Glimpse and Wraithfire Blast. I would actually consider a 1 value point in Ice Path for that purpose to be value worth it compared to the Macropyre, which just costs so much mana at this stage. They do have the Arcanes from Artstyle to help out, and Dubas has his as well, so maybe the mana isn't as big of an issue as I previously thought.
Yeah. Naga Siren has found some more space, though. Now the last hit leader, 2,500 gold up on Yoki, and still just sitting on Brown Boots, Quelling Blade, and the bottle. So going for the fastest Radiance possible, and so far little pressure has come his way. Razor did some denying in lane, but Yoki's had plenty of space now to move back into the jungle, also farming in the mid with that Riptide, and so far just being rather efficient. And so far Secret just don't seem too concerned with it, and also are limited in what they can do. Kuroki is finding some space to farm in the bottom lane, though. Now level 7. Has his Soul Ring and Aquila, so starting to come online a little bit with maxed out Searing Arrows, and maybe we'll see this Clink start to move around and try and get a little tempo control coming on the way for Team Secret.
Yeah, so they're going to try to kind of rally together and take advantage of this Ravage pretty shortly. They don't want to get the Naga Siren, let the Naga Siren get out of control. Absolutely. Right now, only 1,000 gold off of the Relic, and they need to actually start putting their finger down on that one. I think one big aspect of the support Furion, as opposed to a pickup like Enchantress, is not only are you not as reliant on the neutral spawns, but you are also able to rotate a lot more actively. Heroes like Chen and Enchantress, they can't really just bring their full force to a completely opposite lane across the map because, of course, the creeps don't TP with them. So the global teleport, you can kind of bring your party with you. But we do see S4 actually manning up on Dubas here, and a lot of plasma field damage is going to be enough to bring him down.
Yeah, now Artstyle comes in, connects with the Wraithfire Blast, but he's not level 6. He will fall, and he will not come back to life. An easy 2-for-0 in the mid lane as S4 gets aggressive. Down on the bottom while that was happening, Pugna gets dove by the Nature's Prophet and Bone Fletcher, and they'll find a kill there. So it ends up being a 3-for-0 across the map, and the result of that is Tide is able to finish off the Tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and Team Secret take a big burst of momentum and now level out the gold graph, and we'll take about a 4,000 experience edge as Kuroki starts to pressure this bottom tower pretty hard as well.
Yeah, so really just the fact that there is only like one way to break out of the trees right now, which is the Quelling Blade of the Naga Siren, limits their potential to actually escape the grasp of Puppey. Right now he teleports in, and Clinks is going to get guaranteed off like 7 or 8 auto attacks on them, and that's not something you really want to have to worry about with these Searing Arrows dishing out so much. But yeah, right now only 1 point in the Decrepify for defensive purposes. The mechanism still far from complete. It's actually a very real possibility that those kills would just keep happening.
Yeah, they're gearing up to going onto Artstyle here. He will ding level 6 straight away. He will hold the ultimate, and I don't think he's going to want to steal that. No, certainly not. He will just die and would have fallen a second time, so smart play just to hold on to it. Still, a kill is a kill, and Secret will now transition this into a bottom tier 1 tower push. HR do have a glyph available, but they may not want to use it. Up top, Dread will get caught inside of the wards. No phase boots for him, nowhere to go. And will end up being another easy kill for Team Secret. Nature's Prophet getting credit for that one. Aloha Dance comes in with the life drain, and that will end the dominating streak of the Nature's Prophet. 522 gold going the way of Aloha Dance. Still not really a great trade, all things considered. It was a 1-for-1 across the map, but the disparity is Secret got that tier 1 tower down bottom, and now they're picking up a decent gold lead of about 3,000 gold and even more experience to boot.
Yeah, so we're actually going to see the Nature's Prophet hit 4-0-3 before his first death, going for the triple nil tally as you were mentioning, and could follow it up with a Blade Mail, Vladimir's, Crystallis, a lot of items that benefit from having a lot of base damage in the first place. But yeah, we'll see if he just goes the build that we've been seeing very frequently with Blade Mail and just try to get some incidental damage down on the Jakiro and on the Pugna. One thing I want to talk about real quick is the Razor skill build. S4 has actually gone for a build that involved 4-2-4, getting that passive maxed out really early on. We've already seen it twice against the Wraith King, a very long, very potent slow that makes it so that the stun is like almost worthless to throw on him because you don't get away, you don't get any distance between the two, and now Artstyle going down once again down bottom. Does pop the Reincarnate though, an interesting decision.
Yeah, they will back off and it will keep him alive, so I guess it proves effective, but now that'll be on cooldown for a pretty long duration, 260 seconds, until he'll have a second life coming up again. Pugna does pick up the mechanism here for the Dire side, so they are a little bit more in team fighting shape, and Aloha Dance putting all of that initial farm to good use. Jakiro just going for what looks like a casual bracer, and now a Staff of Wizardry. They will engage on the Puppy up top, and they will find the kill as he gets stuck inside of that Static Storm kinetic field. Razor TP's in, looking for a counter kill perhaps, but won't be able to find it. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Big Daddy puts down the Mass Serpent wards. Kuroki lane into the tower as well. Dread TP's in to try and contest, and will connect with a Macro Pyre and Ice Path, basically on the creep wave though. Will repel the heroes. The tower still takes a lot of damage. They'll barely keep it out of deny range, but still, that much damage on a tier 2 tower this early on is pretty good news for Team Secret.
Yeah, and look at the wards inside the Dire jungle right now. The Yoko's just been farming these 3 camps consistently for the past like 8 minutes, and now they're actually going to block them off. Sentries and Observers committed to make sure those don't keep spawning. He's got each one out individually. He's like, oh, where have all the creeps gone? But what this means is that he's going to be forced into a lane, and when he farms a lane, they have some gank potential against him. Maybe committing the first Ravage of the game, since Simba did go for that early Blink Dagger, and just try to prevent that Songless Siren retreat.
Yeah, now in the top lane, Secret starting to pressure this tower. Fly on the other side of the tree line. Blink and Ravage at the ready. Again, all that early farm he found in the lane is really paying off now with a very well-timed Blink Dagger. There, he'll hop over the trees, go for Aloha Dance. The Plasma Field does fall a little bit short. Mech gets popped straight away, and the Decrep Life Drain comes out for Aloha Dance, doing a lot of damage to Fly. Now Puppy joining the party. Fly will break the tether. Aloha Dance tries to TP home, and he'll be successful as he makes it out alive. Kuroki with a double damage rune almost finds the courier here in the mid lane, but won't be in the right place at the right time. Does get pinged out, and looking potentially for a pick off here. Now he may find this courier. It is empty, but easy one hit for him, and a big gold boost going the way of the Radiant.
Yeah, Fly is still really holding onto this Ravage for a very clear purpose. Like, he could have easily killed off the Pugna, prevented the TP or even the life drain by committing the Ravage, but he wants to hold on to it. He wants this cooldown, at the very least, to be on the board as a threat against their opponents. Now it would be a great spot to use it. He will right under the wards, and they're going to drop down very quickly. So a gem gets traded hands, and they take damage up on the top tier 2.
Yep, and he's holding that Ravage and saves it for a double kill. Very nicely done, as Rasta wards came down as well to make that a very easy kill. Now, Naga has picked up her Radiance, which is great news, but Secret have really grabbed a lot of momentum in the interim period here, and a pretty sizable gold and experience lead now. I don't know that this will be enough for the Hellraisers. Yoki still has a lot of farming he needs to do before this Radiance pickup becomes scary, and this is that point where Team Secret can still afford to fight into the Naga because she's just so damn squishy. Anytime you catch her without a Song of the Siren and you have the crowd controls, there's potential to bring her down. Look at Puppy being cheeky here with his Trance, bringing him into the Rasta wards for a little bit of extra damage. But actually will get engaged upon here, pops his Blade Mail, and will try to make a run for it. Out comes the Macro Pyre, the Liquid Fire, Life Drain to boot, and it will be a dead Nature's Prophet. Triple null tally into the Blade Mail. This build coming out once again here, Blaze.
Yep, there are alternatives, but in this case, it seems like he wants to just be able to return damage, make the most of his health pool. Nature Prophet isn't a hero with the best of strength gains, so I guess it's just enough HP that it's what you'd expect from an enemy hero to do over 4.5 seconds. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, he's just kind of getting some nice right clicks in, and the relatively low armor heroes like the Disruptor and even the Jakiro are going to suffer for it. I mean, obviously he's got Tranquil Boots, so that's a nice bonus, but yeah, it seems Puppy is perfectly willing to get aggressive here.
Yeah, S4 will start things off with a static link onto Art Style. He will get caught inside of the kinetic field, and Disruptor, he gets force stabbed into the Static Storm, and he will fall. They'll manage to pick off the Wraith King as Kuroki comes in and throws a Searing Arrow his way. Yoki, of course, has a Song of the Siren available, but will hold on to it for now. Puppy popping that Blade Mail as he takes some DOT damage from the Jakiro and returns as much as he can. Macro Pyre gets thrown out. Really not too scary, though, as Secret will be pretty happy just getting a 2-for-0 exchange, even if that's where the fight ends.
Yeah, so the Radiance is obviously something they were prepared to deal with long term. They didn't put enough pressure on the Naga Siren to justify this as like something that came out by surprise. They knew that it was going to come out around the 18-minute mark or so, even in this case a little bit earlier, but they obviously have the intention of dealing with it. As far as ways to break through the Naga Siren, okay, actually just going in onto Dread here. Nice Ward Trap coming out, and Arstyle really can't do much for his buddy when the Ravage comes through, but Tide drops to the Serpent or the Nether Ward immediately.
Too much damage from that Pugna Ward. Now Razor will try to get turned around on as Puppey comes in, looking to finish off Dread. Those right clicks hurt, and it will be a 2-for-1 going the way of the Hellraisers. Puppey gets a glimpse back and will be forced to about face here as he gets 4-stabbed back. Just not enough to survive. Around the backside, Clinch has an Orchid. The Soul Burn will be enough to bring down the Pugna, and that will help level things out a little bit. Kuroki coming in looking for another turnaround kill and might be able to find it onto Art Style. He did have Reincarnate that time, and Kuroki ultimately will disengage. Really good timing on this Orchid, though, and that does open up a few more possibilities here for Team Secret, despite that not being the best of team fights.
Yeah, I think that Fly kind of underestimated how much mana cost he actually does have with all of his spells there. Just absolutely got destroyed by that Pugna Netherward, which was maxed out at a very early time, so it's not as easy to deal with right now, especially in the pre-BKB era for a lot of these heroes. We're going to see Razor pick up his BKB. Clinks will most likely make his way that direction as well. But yeah, it's just they have to be cautious about that. They have to focus down the ward because otherwise it's kind of a zone denial. You shall not cast.
Puppey getting chased down by Naga Illusions. Will get glimpsed back right into Yoki. Still no point in ensnare, and it would come in handy right now. Pops the Blade Mail, and it really just doesn't make a difference. This is one of the weaknesses of this build where so far in this game, I have not seen this Blade Mail do anything scary other than give him a little bit of extra armor and make him tanky. But in terms of the active, it seems like HR could really care less for the most part.
Yeah, it's about the base stats mostly. The active is like a nice little perk that you can take advantage of in some niche scenarios, but I think it's perfectly fine for him to just benefit from the stats and just allocate his gold in that fashion. The problem is that they're really still not getting much as far as main objectives. Like, up against a Naga Siren, your entire focus has to be just taking tower piece by piece. Taking a tier 2, taking a tier 3, because when it goes down to late game, 50, 55 minutes in, it is just so damn hard to pick off this Naga Siren when she just uses her illusions to push everything out. So maybe the Orchid is what enables them to get the opening. Maybe they could just go for a quick Nature's Prophet plus Clink's jump and be able to bring her down, but if she farms carefully, she farms diligently, and the enemy gets sentry wards down, that's going to mean the Clinks dies more often than the Naga herself.
Yep. Now Blink Dagger picked up on the Clinks, and I reckon Puppey will be looking towards a Maelstrom into Mjolnir here. A pretty standard next item following this opener, and also just really good against the Naga Siren. Gives you some great AoE clearing ability to deal with those illusions, and Nature's Prophet is really the only kind of natural Mjolnir character or carrier here. Clinks doesn't really go for it, nor does the Razor. So that is another potential bottleneck Secret will have when dealing with these super tanky illusions looking towards the late game. Razor will now pick up a BKB though, and that Black King bar will still be on its 10-second charge in the mid lane. Puppey gets initiated upon. In comes Fly, connects with the Ravage, almost brings down Aloha Dance, but just can't quite do it. He will survive, compliments the mech. Dread will finish off the Nature's Prophet, and now he comes in to try and grab Simba as well. Multiple fights breaking out as Clinks will finish off the Wraith King. Dubas getting low. S4 wants to bring him down, but doesn't have a plasma field and will get caught inside of the kinetic field. So a lot of low health heroes on the Dire side will make it back to base.
It's a shame that S4 actually didn't use his BKB there. You don't want to like use your 10-second BKB charge on a kinetic field, but I almost think like he could have gotten a double kill out of it. So if that was the case, then it would have been worth it. But doesn't pop through it. Gets caught out by the wall. Very well cast one from the Disruptor, and now we see Kuroki. He's like right outside the Naga Siren's Radiance range. He's like floating in and out of it like, oh, do I really want to go on this? He has crazy offensive damage output, but you know, obviously he's just too low without using the Death Pact to bring himself back up.
Yeah, this Naga Siren is really gaining a lot of momentum, though, holding that #1 seat on the net worth chart, and already BOT's Yasha up, and those are the two luxury items that Naga likes to be able to rush right after the Radiance comes out if possible. Aloha Dance will fall to Kuroki as the Orchid flies through. Will pop the mech, but to little avail. Still, Naga has all these farming tools cruising around at near max movement speed, and he can just farm so effectively, even with all these camps blocked in the jungle. S4 will get glimpsed back here in the mid lane. Dread will get turned into a sheep as Yoki comes in with the Naga Siren ulti online. S4 has his BKB on, so he will be immune to the effects, but does get completely isolated. Now, Big Daddy and Puppey caught inside of the Ice Blast, and Macro Pyre coming around the backside is Kuroki. Silence on to the Wraith King, and will bring down the Jakiro. That will be the third kill of this fight, as HR taking heavy losses. Big Daddy eats a stun, but ultimately the tower will fall, and HR still just don't quite have the damage to take a straight-up 5v5 engagement, and it will end as a 3-for-0 exchange. as Secret do secure another tier 2 tower.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that they're able to accomplish this without the mechanism. Usually the Radiance Burn is enough to kill off all the creep waves, and then you really don't have any real ground to stand on. But they get the summons out there, they get a great fight out of it, and in the end the tower does fall. Now they have to be a little bit more direct about their approach, because I believe the Naga illusions are going to be even more widespread. They're gaining movement speed with the Manta, and yeah, it's just going to be difficult to pin them down in particular. So I would have to say that they have to kind of heal up, find one pick off, and then go for a full 5-man. But I could see value in Nature Prophet or Clinks going kind of on their own, doing some split play where the Naga illusions can't reach.
Yeah. Naga's still with a lot of gold in the bank, and as long as Hellraisers don't have rack or haven't lost racks, I think there's always a chance for a turnaround with the Naga. The outer towers are kind of the easy part, but the high ground is what becomes very difficult to break into the Song of the Siren, the Macro Pyre, and all of that other wombo that they have going on, especially with the Disruptor. That's an area where he really excels when you're forced to fight in this kind of small corridor here, breaching the high ground. So they're still in okay shape. Naga's still farming well, but it will be slow going. She's working towards the Manta, now has the ultimate orb, and we'll have that recipe before too long here. Looks like Puppey will be going for that Maelstrom, has the Mithril Hammer there in the inventory already. Kuroki pulling up his gold up to 3k following that Blink Dagger pickup. Hard to say where he'll go from here, but we'll probably just be moving into raw damage. And Tide has now picked up the mech. So you mentioned that in the last team fight. That Radiance Burn hurts a lot at this stage in the game, and they will now have that AoE heal to help mitigate its effectiveness.
Still, Naga's getting huge. Manta Style coming out for her now just gives her so much in terms of extra survivability, being able to dispel the Manta or the Orchid, and getting off the Song of the Siren anyways, BOTing away. There's not really much the Secret has to just defeat this other than the initiation of Big Daddy No Tail. I mean, Shadow Shaman does have quick movement speed with the Yules and the Force Staff to get in position, but the Hex still has to be just absolutely perfect and followed up immediately with the Shackles if they're going to have any chance of getting the kill on her.
Yeah, now a full Aghanim Scepter completed on the Razor, and it will be delivered here on little Shagbark coming up soon, and there's that Maelstrom complete for Puppey's Nature's Prophet. So two really big items for Team Secret that will help out in this next team fight quite a bit. Yule Scepter was picked up on Big Daddy. I don't know that we mentioned that, but another good utility item there, and he is carrying around that Gem of True Sight, so taking out wards really at every turn. Chikiro, he finds himself a Yule Scepter as well. So all that position 1 farm, really not the craziest item set from Dread. Just goes into a casual Bracer, Force Staff, and Yules.
Well, he kind of needs that against the Clinks. It's been a pain in his ass for quite some time, but now being able to dispel the Orchid with the self-Yules, or obviously you could toss the Clinks up in the air as well, and maybe lay down an Ice Path at his feet. So it's a really good pickup, although it doesn't really go so far as to their push mentality. They don't have to worry about that now. Now that the Radiance is there, the Time Bomb is on Team Secret to defuse. They are the ones that are continuously getting the scaling, and they're the ones that are going to be able to hold it out. So essentially this Yules is just to prevent feeding, just to be able to go out a little bit more actively and survive through that Clinks' initial barrage.
Yep. And now Naga will be the one to carry the gem. It was bought by Dubas, but he will be the carrier. Naga, one of the best gem carriers in the game. Of course, the illusions get the True Sight, and you have that reset tool with the Song of the Siren. Also a pretty speedy hero with a lot of armor, and just generally speaking, not one that is often going to be picked off. So that is, well, just good stuff for the Hellraisers here. They might find S4 as he moves up to the high ground. They'll burn a dust, thinking Kuroki might be inbound. Instead, they'll just find the Razor. He pops his BKB, going hard on the Disruptor, and will find a solo kill as now the rest of Secret come in. Puppey will TP forward. They'll go on to, well, the whole team as a big Ravage comes out from Simba. They'll bring that down the Jakiro. Archstyle will come back from his reincarnation, but he will fall. And Naga Siren just kind of got picked off in the back line. That was a set of wards that came down from Big Daddy and ended up being an easy kill on the Slitherine. Now they'll move to the high ground. Glyph comes out straight away. Naga will buy back, but only so much she can do here. Does have a Song of the Siren. There's just no damage to repel these forces. Even if she puts him to sleep, it will just delay the inevitable until this Disruptor can get up.
Did you see how much damage that Eye of the Storm was doing? Aghanim Scepter, level 16. That was just absurd how much physical damage it was able to come out. Now they get the combo, but the southern end of the kinetic field is open, and they might be able to just walk away. So Aloha Dance will take some big hits here. The BKB just nullifying a lot of the damage in return, and Aloha Dance will be going down.
Yeah, S4 has to commit a little bit for it, but he's pretty darn tanky as well. Bait in art style. Kuroki will be able to finish him off. Even if S4 goes down right here, the damage has been done. Puppy looking for the Sprout to stop Yoki from making it back to the well. Will be unsuccessful on that front, but Blade Mail on, trying to return some damage to the twin-headed dragon. Will be successful, but can't find the kill. They lose S4 in the end, but ultimately Secret got what they came for. Bottom lane of Rax fall, and now the Hellraisers up against the ropes and in kind of a rocky position despite having this decently farmed Naga. Kuroki will go back in, pops the Orchid, but there's the power of that Manta style. Dispels it straight away, and now we'll go back in onto Kuroki. The Bone Fletcher should be okay right here. Pops the Death Pact.
That was a mistake.
Never mind. Yeah, I thought he was just going to run away. Instead, he Death Pacted a creep, and that revealed his Skeleton Walk. A little surprised he did that.
I mean, it's possible that he thought that he was already being detected, but that was just the ensnare that gave her the vision. So yeah, he should have known that that was the case. There's really no reason to ulti there, and that's a painful loss for the Clinks, but still not really putting Hellraisers back in a good mood. Losing the Rax is going to set them back very significantly. They're not out of the game. Naga obviously has a lot of potential to bring it back once she picks up that heart, but it just goes to show how one team fight can just drastically affect the game. One single team fight that goes awry and suddenly HR are lost a third of their base. I mean, it's very painful, but it's just how it played out. The global initiation from Puppy, it was able to come in right when the Disruptor fell. I don't know if Dubas has gotten a glimpse off in the Nature's Prophet this game. I haven't really seen it myself, but nullifying that opportunity just by the timing of the TP. And then, like you said, the Shadow Shaman pretty much soloed the Naga on the back end just with that chain of disables and the usage of the ultimates. So those kind of pickoffs just happening all at once puts Hellraisers very far on the back foot, and it's going to be rapidly approaching a point of no return.
Yeah, about a 20,000 gold, 25,000 experience lead now for Team Secret as everyone is finding more luxury items. Tide now finds a Force Staff with 3,000 gold to boot. Maybe looking towards a refresher before too long. S4 has now just picked up an ultimate orb here. Kuroki did just go into the Crystallis and has a BKB now, as we saw in that last fight, down to that 9-second charge. But he's starting to hit quite hard and quite fast as well. The Mjolnir up on Puppy, as we talked about before. And even Big Daddy now grabbing himself a Force Staff. So core items all around and a lot of mobility between the Blinks and the Force Staffs to really initiate at any turn if Hellraisers make just one little step forward. They will farm out the jungle, and Hellraisers will be forced back to their lane, and here we go. They find Dubas, and that's an easy kill on old Thrall as he takes a tumble.
Yeah, mid lane Puppy's going to find Yoku, but he seems to be in an okay position with the BOTs and such, so kind of just having to make the decision. Does he want to push? Does he want to try to defend? What can he really accomplish here? It looks like he's going to go ahead, put mirror images behind the towers, and then BOT back to actually help his teammates on the high ground, or maybe he'll help out Dread with this solo kill here. Puppy taking a lot of damage, and the Blade Mail not really returning enough. We're going to see him go down right when they try to break over the high ground, but they have the song just to break down the Mass Serpent wards, and even then they've already lost their tier 3.
Yeah, even though they got the kill on Puppy, it put Naga in kind of an awkward position, and now this song is going to come out very late. The ranged racks have already gone down, melee racks taking a lot of damage.
Whoa.
And they'll just let him fall. No Song of the Siren comes out as the Rage King goes down. Puppy buys back, and we'll hop right back into the fray. Artstyle comes back to life and just gets juiced right away. Ravage flies through. Now Dubas in trouble. Dread takes a lot of damage, and Pugna will actually be the next to fall. And this looks like it'll be the end for HR. Naga Siren's still with her ultimate available. I don't really understand, Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was trying to use that as an opportunity to single out somebody that had their BKB active, but we saw both BKBs pop, still waiting, still not finding it, and yeah, they don't even use it in the standard sense, which is usually just to kill off the Mass Serpent wards before the real fight begins, so...
Yeah, or just set up for I mean, they will get a kill on Clinks, but even just setting up for a decent Macro Pyre stacked on top of a Kinetic Field and Static Storm. There's a lot of potential setup there, and if you're losing racks, the difference between 1 racks and 2 at this stage in the game is pretty damn significant, and now I would pretty much say this is that point of no return where they had to burn a couple of buybacks, even the Jakiro bought back there. This is rough, and it's just, I see very little reason not to at least try with that Song of the Siren ultimate. It's not a very long cooldown at level 2, and it's even level 19, it's a minute cooldown. Just use the damn thing.
Just maybe thought it would hurt their team more than help, but honestly, I don't think there's any way that was true. We do see the Stress Armstrong's shackles coming out onto Dread here. He's going to get pinned down, and yeah, we're going to see an attempt to follow through onto Yoku. Kuraki has the Blink Orchid, but the Manta's up, and he shouldn't be able to get this kill unless Yoku's really slow in the reaction. There it is, the song, but still the right clicks through PKP. One or two more. Just going to go for the courier, the easy kill, and they will just pursue onto Art Style here. Not finishing him unless they blink it forward. The glimpse is not going to be fast enough. And it's just going to be an easy pickoff on this race. He's died 9 times this game.
Yeah, that glimpse actually helping out Kuroki a little bit there as he was able to make a free retreat back to his teammates. He'll grab a few more kills before Hellraisers GG and tap out. What a game. It seemed like the Hellraisers were in a position to maybe take it. They were off to one hell of a start, put a lot of pressure on Team Secret, and then they just started to crumble after they lost that initial tower momentum, overcommitting to the tier 2 in the top lane, and even with a well-timed Radiance on the Naga, it just still wasn't enough to turn things around. And Team Secret living up to their reputation, looking good as Puppy shows off a position 4 Nature's Prophet zoning support. I don't know what the proper title was for that style of Nature's Prophet play, but it was certainly interesting and ended up being quite effective.
There we go, 33 minutes in. But obviously, when they started rallying their team fight, that was when they started being able to just absolutely destroy. And they found their timing right before Nagasari got too big to deal with. So very nicely done. The draft works out in their favor in general. And obviously, they executed the strategy necessary to take the win. 15-2-10. The notable KDA for S4 really was able to control the mid lane well enough to get the important items there, even the Hex in the late game stage. So very nicely done, and looking forward to seeing more of this team. But for now, we're going to be going into the next game of the day, and that looks to be
MYM versus xgame.kz, scheduled to start in about 20 minutes. So we'll have a short break here, guys, and then plenty more Dota coming your way here for Starladder Season 10 European coverage, Day 11.